Alright there folks, welcome to another fishing adventures, and I just want to do a year review of this, and this is the Matrix MTX3 Ultra. Now I first got this pole in March last year and I did a video on it, a little bit of a review. I'll pop the link of that in the description below, so make sure you go and check that out. But I just wanted to do a bit of a catch-up video really, because I know there's been tons and tons of people saying, oh, they just break, they're too brittle, and all this sort of stuff, but I've never had any issues. I mean, none at all. And this is coming from, originally I was into Daiwa poles, and they're all I ever bought and used, and they were absolutely fantastic. And then I switched from the Daiwa and I got the MAP 501. And don't get me wrong, that was a good pole, that was a really good pole, but on a few of the sections I was noticing a few soft spots developing, and that put me off massively, because you don't want to be holding a pole at 10-11 meters and your elbows crushing into it, do you know what I mean, because that's just a recipe for a disaster. So I quickly got rid of that, and the Matrix were all the rage, and the MTX4 and the MTX3, and I ummed and ahed for months and months and months, and plumbed for the MTX3 basically, because it was a 16 meter pole, decent range of top kits, and I thought, why not, let's give it a go. So I've owned this for a year now, and to be fair, I can't really fault it. And as you've seen in the videos that I've done since March last year, anything to do with the pole has always been with the MTX3, okay, and that's covers all sorts really, from shallow fishing, jigger, margins, even silverfish from railway ponds, you know what I mean, and I've caught everything on it from one ounce perch up to double figure carp, and it has never let me down. I've not found anything at all that would make me question the strength of this pole. But with regards to the strength of modern poles especially, I think what people don't seem to realise is that the carbon technology and the resin technology that has been developed to create these poles that are super light at 16 meters it's the edge of what is possible basically. It is the very, very tip of that spear of pole development. And I think people tend to look back and think, oh well, I had this pole 5 years ago and it was as bomb-proof as anything, my new pole should be able to do that, and it's a different kettle of fish altogether. And I think that's where a lot of the problems arise from, because people expect far too much from the technology that is available for poles. Everyone wants to fish at 16 meters and they want it to be as light as a feather. There's got to be a compromise somewhere, and that compromise is occasionally strength in some manufacturers. The heavier poles tend to be a little bit stronger, but that is an entirely different episode. I could ramble on for ages about carbon technology and everything like that, and get into Formula 1 and the LMP1 cars and all sorts of stuff, and this isn't the channel for that, so I'm not going to bore you to death, but just have a little bit of thought about how you're using your pole, because if you're fishing and you're slapping your rig and you're a bit heavy-handed and you go a bit crazy, then you're going to put stresses where stresses aren't supposed to be, and you're going to get breakages. That's all I'm going to say. But back to this one, I mean, as I said, I've not found any faults with it at all. Fishing anywhere up to 13 meters, it is perfectly balanced. We've literally no issues at all. Once you get past that 13 meter barrier though, it does change, and it can change quite dramatically. If I was fishing at 13 meters and I popped another section in to fish at 14.5, I would have to start putting quite a bit of pressure on that elbow just to keep that pole level. And that is the niggle with this pole. Anything over 13 meters, it gets difficult to fish effectively, and at 16 meters it weighs an absolute ton, I'm not gonna lie. But having said that, it is fishable, but just not for very long. Okay, I have pushed it out to 16 meters 3 or 4 times for short periods, but believe me, once you've shipped it back and you're fishing again at 13 meters, it's like a whole new world basically. But as I've said, if you're fishing 13 meters, you push it out to 14.5, it can get heavy, but if you pop in your half section or your extra section, it really does balance it out, so it is fishable. So there is ways around it, but that is a niggle. But you know what, most 16 metre poles do that. You need to put, it's that kind of compromise, isn't it? But if you're looking for a pole to fish at 13 metres on snake lakes and stuff, you can't go far wrong with this one, to be fair. I mean, even the top kits are absolutely bomb proof. I mean, as I've said, this is one of my match kits, and the bushes in the end, no movement at all, no danger of that popping out. It's well made, they're just well designed, and even the puller bungs at this end, I've had no issues with them sticking or getting jammed up or clogged up with anything. It's I honestly just can't really fault it. It's a good general, I'd class it as an all-round pole, to be fair, not just for commercial bashing. As I said, I've fished it on silvers venues, and it's fantastic with those really fine delicate floats on a match kit, light elastic. It'll handle pretty much anything that you throw at it. So should you buy one? If you're on a budget and you don't fish past 13 metres very often, then I would recommend this pole. If you're properly deeply into your match fishing and you're fishing a lot of match venues where you're going to be starting at 13, pushing out to 14, then going up to 16 metres, then maybe the MTX3 would be a better pole, or one of the new Preston poles, or even one of the middies. Do you know what I mean? The midi have got some awesome poles out at the moment. Go and have a look at one of them. Go to a pole alley and have a bit of a play. Have a hold of one. That's the best advice I can give you from this video, is if you've got a pole alley near you, go and sit and physically hold that pole and just see how responsive they are, and make your decision based on that, on how you're going to fish. And I think, just digressing very slightly on that, I think it'd be a good idea for pole manufacturers, especially if they're giving samples to pole alleys, is not have their names on the pole. Just have like a little barcode that the shop can scan, and then you're not going in there with any preconceived ideas. And I think if we all got into the habit of going to the pole alley and just sitting and holding these poles and trying them and seeing, I think we'd be surprised by the results of some of them, to be fair. But as I said, we get those preconceived ideas with different names in our heads, and we get so focused into buying that one particular brand that we perhaps miss a little gem somewhere else. But anyway, that could be another video as well. But yeah, so as I've said, in conclusion then, basically, if you're looking for a good all-round pole that you're not really going to fish very often past 13 metres, I would recommend the MTX3. If you're fishing further on a more regular basis, then MTX4 or one of the other brands, because I love mine. Whether I change it or not soon, I don't know. Maybe watch this space and see what happens. But for now, I love it. So thanks for watching. Cheers.